screen to. Okay, so we are going to go in rhetorical devices. So let me just go back. I want to show you guys how to get in here. All right, I'm in 5th hour, but 5th hour is the same as 1st hour. So if you click on this is materials, you click on it. You don't have to, right now you're just going to watch what I'm doing, but if you want later on to go back into this, this is for you. The rhetorical devices, PowerPoint is right here if you want to go through it on your own, or there's also, this is everyone got a copy of notes, all right? And so there's rhetorical devices. I highlighted the ones that were very important to know, especially in terms of when you write your own persuasive and or argumentative papers, okay? So let me go ahead and present. Now this one says 22, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment. And I just put it down actually. There's technically 26, but 4 go under one specific category, and so I'm just going to go down to 22. All right, so the first one is parallelism. Parallelism is the use of successive verbal constructions in poetry or prose that correspond in grammatical structure, sound, meter, meaning, etc. I'm sure you're like, what? Okay, so it's easier if I go over the examples. In parallel, they kind of match, they don't intersect. So here is lacking parallelism. She likes cooking, jogging, and to read. Okay, obviously that's not parallel because we have the ing, and then not. We have the two. Parallel would be she likes cooking, jogging, and reading, or we could say she likes to cook, jog, and read. So we have this cook, jog, read. We don't have the ing. Also, he likes baseball and running. That is lacking parallelism, okay, because he likes baseball and running. A parallel one would be he likes playing baseball and running because the playing and running, or he likes to play baseball and to run because we have the 2 and 2. All right, moving on. Juxtaposition is 2 opposing things, ideas, images, colors, placed close together to have a contrasting effect. So like when you say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Goose and gander are kind of opposites, okay? One's a boy, one's a girl. When it rains, it pours. So raining is just kind of not huge, huge amount, whereas pouring is. All's fair in love and war, love versus war. And you can do this, I'm not going to read all of them, but like old versus young, and different races, good versus evil. It doesn't necessarily have to be opposites, but it is something that is contrasting, that they are different, okay? All right, so an allusion. An allusion is an expression designed to call something to mind without mentioning it. Something referred to, it's a reference in history, music, literature, or culture, okay? So if I say, this place is like a Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was a paradise God made for Adam and Eve from the Bible, okay? So people should get that allusion, a reference. Or if I say Kim Kardashian wears so much makeup, she should change her name to Barbie. Barbie is the illusion. Everyone gets who Barbie is. They know, and that they automatically, okay, this, this toy that wears lots of makeup and, a fashion doll, things like that. All right, so the next one, you guys should be aware of this one. We've been working on them when we did our poetry. A metaphor compares an idea, object, or image with something that's dissimilar without using like or as. So I have pictures in here. Your friend George is just a big baby. So George is being compared to a baby. You are my guardian angel. You are being compared to the guardian angel. Johnny's mouth is one huge metal factory. So the mouth is being compared to the metal factory, obviously, because he has braces. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can always go back, look at it, see different examples. Okay, the next one is a synecdoche. All right, I know that's a weird thing to say, but it is a figure of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole thing. Okay. Now I know they were like, what is that? So if I say, um, the world is not treating you well, I don't mean every single person in the entire world. I don't even mean the world as in the planet, you know. It's just, it's meaning like the part that you've encountered. Okay. If I say the Pentagon did this, it's usually only referring to a few decision making generals that have done it. It's not every single person in the Pentagon. If I say, give me a hand is like you as a person helping someone, but I don't mean just one hand. I don't mean, you know, just, you know, give me a hand is not even just your hand. If you may have heard like tickle the ivories. Ivories mean the piano, but a piano, well, now it's not even made of ivory, but um, it used to be like the white keys were made of ivory, but that's not the only part that the piano was made of. So basically, you're using one thing, one little part, to mean the whole thing. All right. So, are there any questions so far? Ms. Keeper, can you check to see if there's any questions? If you guys need me to, okay. If you need me to slow down, please tell me. Or if there are questions on one that you're like, I really don't get that. Okay, then we have hyperbole. You should also be aware of that as well. So that's an exaggeration used for emphasis. So the king's nose was 3 feet long. Obviously, it really can't be. That's just using, I use hyperboles all the time. My dad can lift over 2 tons. I'm sure he really can't. The food was so hot that my ears were smoking. Okay, your ears really can't smoke. All right. Um, the boy runs faster than a car. No one can run faster than a car. It would be cool if they could, but it can't. Okay. I'm so tired I could sleep a year. No one can sleep a year. All right. So that is, it's just an extreme exaggeration. I'm sure you've heard like, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Um, we're not literally going to eat a horse. At least I hope not. All right, moving on. Symbolism. So symbolism is when you use a concrete object, image, or character to represent something bigger. Okay. So for example, like black is used to represent death or evil. White usually stands for life and for purity, innocence. Roses stand for romance. If you talk about violets, violets usually represent shyness. A bear might represent courage or danger, and a butterfly can symbolize great transformation. Speaking of, I got a tattoo, another tattoo, on Friday of some butterflies. You can't see it very well. Actually, you're not going to be able to see, but I did get, I'll show you guys later. I still have to have the wrap on it to let it heal. I have one more day of that, and trust me, I do not like taking the wrap off because once you do, it hurts. So I'm gonna leave it on for a few more days. And you guys see symbols every day. You know what things are, what things mean. All right, a euphemism is a mild or indirect word or expression that's substituted that's for something that might be too harsh or blunt. Okay, so instead of like saying, and I never say this, I never say like my husband died. I always say my husband passed away. Sometimes we say are the dearly departed instead of the person who has, I'm going to say this, passed away, because that's how I'm taught to just say things. People have said ethnic cleansing instead of genocide. If I say, well, at a job, we're going to let you go, it's really firing. Okay, instead of just saying you're fired, it's like we're going to let you go. All right, or someone's on the streets instead of being homeless. So it's kind of a nicer way of saying something that's harsh. All right, simile, comparing an idea or object by using like or as. So you're as brave as a lion, or they fought like cats and dogs, or he's as funny as a barrel of monkeys, which I don't know why a barrel of monkeys would be funny. I mean, monkeys are funny anyway, but like, speaking of, I had one time, I went to the zoo and it was this one orangutan. I don't know why it didn't like me, was throwing poop at me.
They like to throw poop around.
I know, but he wanted to throw it at me. And then he grabbed a whole big thing of sod, like grabbed it up, and it literally almost whipped it at my face. I had to get out of the way. I was like, I have no clue why this orangutan doesn't like me. All right, the next thing, polysyndeton, which is a stylistic device in which like your conjunctions, your and or but nor so for yet, are used over and over again. Because normally we don't do that. We don't keep saying and. I do this a lot when I text, especially when I'm trying to get my point across to something. So here's an example. Go and hunt her and find her and kill her. Okay, so there's polysyndeton. There's also parallelism in here because hunt, find, kill, those are all verbs. It's not saying, so that is parallel as well. All right, antithesis is a figure of speech in which an opposite or contrast of ideas is expressed and they're strongly contrasted. Okay, it's a little bit different than juxtaposition. I even had to look it up and say, what is exactly, why is it? This is like extremes, extreme opposites. Okay, so man proposes, God disposes. Love is an ideal thing, marriage is a real thing. So right here, it's ideal and real. In this one, it's man and God. In this one, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It's one small step, so that's one part, and then giant leap, and then we have man versus mankind. And then to err means to make a mistake, is human, to forgive, divine. Okay, and actually human and divine are also, because human is, as you know, us, and then divine would be, something else out there. Okay. Next, personification. This is one you guys also should know. It's attributing human characteristics to something non-human. So an example, the lonely lighthouse vigilantly shined its light to warn ships away from its rocky coast. Obviously, the lighthouse can't be lonely. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't really warn people, by saying, hey, look out. So this is an example of personification. All right, repetition is the repeating of a word or phrase over and over. So let me give you some examples, and then I did put them down here, the different types, but I'll tell you how to say them if you want to know. And if you do ever end up in AP classes for English, you probably will learn these. So I'm just going to say the words so you know them, but you do not need to know these specific ones. You just need to know repetition. So I felt happy because I saw the others were happy and because I knew I should feel happy, but I wasn't really happy. So it's obviously, it's repeating happy. Hatred was spreading everywhere. Blood was being spilled everywhere. Wars were breaking out everywhere. So we have that everywhere. So I'm just going to say the words. I'm not even going to go over the definitions. You can go back if you want to look at them. So we have epistrophe, anaphora, and anadiplosis, and then I don't even know, epimony. Okay. So those are the different types of repetition, but all I need you to know is there's a repetition, and it might be a word, it might be a phrase. Okay. All right, then we have situational irony. Situational irony is when you think one thing is going to happen and then the total opposite happens. It sometimes is funny, but sometimes it's not. Okay, it's the contrary to what you expect to happen. So an example of situational irony would be a fire station burning down. That's the last thing that you would think. Or a marriage counselor files for divorce. A police station gets robbed. A post on Facebook complaining about how useless Facebook is. That's funny. Or like a pilot has a fear of heights. Now, this is right here, this picture that I have is situational irony. You're swimming. Obviously, you just think you're going out having a great swim. Then we have this big, huge shark down there that's going to eat you. That is not something that you see coming. All right, then we have a paradox. A paradox is where you have something that seems to contradict itself, but it really has a profound truth to it. Okay, so like one example, like you must save money or you save money by spending it. I know that that doesn't sound like it's a truth, but it actually is. Or you can make money by spending it. That's another one. Sometimes you do have to spend a little bit of money to make that money, especially in a business. If I know one thing, it's that I know nothing. I say that a lot. And that is a profound truth. This is the beginning of the end. Deep down, you're really shallow. So deep down, obviously, and then you're shallow. I'm a compulsive liar. And then men work together, whether they work together or apart. So again, this is these are paradoxes. Like my weakness is my strength. That's another one. So these are profound truths. All right, a rhetorical question is a question asked in order to create a dramatic effect or to make a point rather than to get an answer. So I say this all the time, but I say it not as nice as this. Does a bear poop in the woods? Obviously it does. So like if someone is like asking me a question and the answer is yes, like I'm like, does a bear poop in the woods? Um, that's a rhetorical question. It's not meant to get an answer. Okay, crescendo is when words, phrases, or clauses are arranged in the order of increasing importance. So it's based on what you want. I didn't even give an example because it's kind of what is important to you. So it would be like if you're making a list of things, it would be from least important to the most important. And if you are in music, you know a crescendo goes from not loud to super loud. Okay. All right, ascendenton is the omission or absence of a conjunction. All right, so before we had adding a lot of conjunctions. This one is where you take the conjunctions out to kind of prove a point. So I came, I played, I won. All right, that is excluding conjunctions in a way because it's doing it in a way that it's making it more important. All right. It's like kind of that pause. All right. All right. Then we have an extended metaphor, which is very similar to a metaphor. It just goes on for a couple of lines. So an example of that is our From Mother to Son. It was comparing the climbing of stairs to life. It was extended throughout that entire poem. A rose in concrete, the rose that grew in concrete, I didn't get that right, is comparing that rose growing out of the concrete right here, which it would normally win, to people who persevere, okay, who take, you know, all odds and continue on against that. All right, then we have amplification. Think about the word amplify. It's embellishing a word or phrase by adding more information to it. Okay, so in literature, amplification means the writer's adding more information to a sentence. So I always think like extra, extra. All right, so it's just basically adding more to that sentence to give to make it more understandable. All right, then we have anecdote, not an antidote, but anecdote is usually a short narrative of an interesting, amusing, or biographical incident. It doesn't always have to be like it doesn't always have to be happy. I told you guys one time, if I'm trying to prove a point about maybe that we should only buy dolphin safe tuna, I might give a short narrative about a dolphin. So I might say there was a dolphin named Skipper. Skipper loved to swim with the ocean in the ocean with his mother, father, and brothers and sisters. One day, he got caught in a net. Unfortunately, his body was so badly destroyed that he ended up dying. All right, so that's like that makes it hit home a little bit more than just saying, well, dolphins die from getting caught in nets that are when people aren't fishing for tuna uh, using, you know, dolphin friendly tactics. I hope that made sense. All right, then we have aphorism, which is a short, often commonly known saying that expresses a truth in a memorable way. So if I say actions speak louder than words, okay, that's a saying that we all kind of know. All for one and one for all. Another, don't fire. And okay, this is kind of with military and stuff like that. But don't fire, or even if you're a hunter, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So these are common sayings that express like a profound truth. And I think that is it. So I'm going to stop presenting and see. It is in the Bible as well. Thank you. I have been recording this, so anything that you missed, you guys can go back to. Are there any questions? I'm going to stop recording this.